And we're back, fresh from a special guest, fresh from being banned from YouTube. It's been on my LinkedIn, got a few non-real tennis listeners, but a view from the Hazards episode 22, 22 in Spanish. Ben is here with the dog. The dog's had a tough weekend, and I'm not talking about Ben, his dog. But yeah, how are you, Ben?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Decent, to be fair. I'm fighting fit, ready to go. Bit grey in Altrincham, but I'll be sure to do some activity today, I think.
A bit grey in Leamington as well, actually. Apparently,
Oh,
it's
really?
going to be like a bit kind of grey for the next couple of days, but then I think next week's a bit of a belter. But yeah, like 22 degrees from Thursday onwards, basically, and just a bit of sun. But
That's great.
Get through the first half of the week, and then
Crack on.
enjoy the latter.
Yeah, literally. Obviously, since we last went on, I'm pretty sure that gyms and stuff were announced to be opening on the 25th.
Yeah, well, outdoor swimming pools are open from the weekend just gone, aren't they? They were
Oh.
basically like immediate, I think.
That's perfect for me. I mean, I love that sort of stuff. But yeah, like obviously the indoor course on the 25th. That suits us. That's relevant to us.
That's very relevant to us. Yeah, we finally have a date, which is great. I mean, I imagine all the clubs will have like put their kind of done their risk assessment and stuff in advance. So I imagine everywhere will open on that Saturday. I guess I can't see anybody kind of pushing it back to the Monday just to start the week. I imagine everyone's ready to go. Manchester have been ready for
ages. I was about to say they had like
five different openings they've had, haven't they?
I know, yeah, I like that. I know. Apparently they're changing the thing on the door, so it's like touch-free access. It's like you're gonna have like a key thing, a fob.
That's a good idea.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I guess it stops people just knowing the code and going in. But yeah.
Well, I think the idea, like, I'm sure all clubs are going to be like very sensible about it. But the idea, obviously, is, like if you don't, it's not going to be back to normal. So you want members to have to do as little like touching of stuff as possible, right? So I mean, for example, like at Leamington, we've obviously got the front door, then like the internal door with the code, like Manchester, although Manchester's like the other way around. And then you'd have to walk through the door into the dead on, and then through the door to get on court. So what we're going to do is like prop open all of those doors, so the members don't have to touch anything, and they basically have to ring the doorbell outside.
Oh wow.
So yeah, they're all going to be touching the same doorbell, but then
Jeez.
obviously they'll sanitise as soon as they come in. But so just so they don't have to touch the doors when they come in, just like small little things like that. I'm sure all clubs will have the same kind of thing in place. They can just walk on, play, go.
Yeah, no shower. Fuck.
It's a bit miserable, and obviously it depends on like your location, doesn't it? Like if you're somewhere like a Hardwick or like a Petworth or something, like people are kind of you're not exactly in the middle of town, so
no.
We're probably going to be quite lucky in the sense that people will just park, stick the car in the car park next door, play, go, head straight home, and it's fine because a lot of are very close. But
that's ideal about the car park as well. That makes it so much easier.
Yeah, I can't remember. I imagine it's going to be pretty miserable. Like if it was me, I wouldn't really want to have like a 20-minute drive to go and play my tennis, turn up, sweat because it's obviously going to be it's now the summer.
Yeah.
And then just have to jump in the car wet and drive back home again.
Welcome to my life, Ben.
Well, to be fair, I do it when I go for like PT and stuff, so I know how it's.
I know, no one's asked. You just want to play. I'm building up my list of contacts I can stay with in Sally Oaks just so we can train. So I think there's going to be
fantastic.
There's going to be building work in Manchester, so I don't know if that's going to be operational. Well, I need to speak to Daz. I'm speaking to Daz now, but
Well, mate, I'm moving in like end of September, aren't I? And I'll have some spare rooms, so you'll be more than welcome to come and stay.
Oh crikey! Well, I'll have a COVID test before.
But presumably by that point you'll have found a job.
Yeah, I'll probably have a job by then. I hope so. Anyway, I'll be doing something.
I'll be doing something.
Yeah. Full-time podcasting.
What is the plan for you in terms of like geographical location from here?
I don't know.
Are you staying up north, or are you open?
No, well, I mean,
are you like open to moving away, or are you desperate to move away?
No, I'm not desperate. Just if it was the right job, to be fair. Like if this TNRA thing actually comes through, which obviously been put on hold because of COVID, I'd like to do that. If I could work for the association and still do a podcast, I mean, that's just changing the game, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But yeah, that'd be the ideal, really. See somewhere different. Other than that, probably end up working for my dad. I'm a sort of trainee accountant at the moment.
A bit of a number boy.
Yeah, I'm decent. I'm sort of yeah. I can't wait to see your accounts. Like, wow, that much on beer.
Steady. Well, you
Exactly.
won't need to. I mean, next year you won't have to worry too much because basically the earnings have been zero for 4 months. So that'll be nice and easy.
Exactly.
Won't
Perfect.
have to do too much calculation there.
Just never made it past the last 16 in any tournament. I'm sorry. And wasn't even getting an appearance fee. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't know. This podcast will still continue though. It'll be episode 50 by September. I am sure.
Oh, fantastic.
Can you imagine? And well, anyway, what are we on today? We're on sort of staying
Well, we've
on.
had some big news, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
Well, obviously we've had like big news about like generically about courts being able to open again, which is amazing.
That is good news.
But we have had an announcement that the World Championships have been postponed again.
When is it again? I'll tell you what, shows how prepared I am for this podcast. I've just woken up early and I don't even know. When is it?
It's been pushed back to May. I'm not sure the exact date. I want to say
Oh, just
second,
like
fourth, and sixth. But
just like a normal world championship then.
exactly. So
That's good.
there's not going to be a major difference other than the fact that there's going to be that year.
Oh, well, that's
just a year.
that's golden. That's not even that bad. That's just like that's just a year postponement. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly. And like it should be noted here that just in case anybody wants to like take anything we say over the next bit and use it as like intel or something like that. Like we're going to talk about the World Championship postponement, and let's make it very clear we have absolutely no information on like what's going to happen or any the whole kind of like all views are our own from here kind of thing. So like, I don't want people to kind of potentially start telling other people stuff based on what we're saying today because we are just two mugs
Yeah.
shooting the breeze.
As much as I say stuff and it sounds like I know what I'm talking about, quite often I just make it up as well. That is true. I'm quite good at saying stuff with a straight face.
I mean, this is probably maybe thinking like one step ahead. My brain immediately went to like, when will the 2022 challenge happen? Do you know what I mean?
I think my brain went exactly the same way. What a wavelength that is.
And I reckon that it will happen in 2022. So I think if you look at like all sports, what they're doing is they're obviously doing like a postponement or whatever, but they want to get themselves back on the same kind of
trajectory,
time frame, all that kind of stuff, like as soon as possible. So I imagine like the Euros of football or whatever happening next year instead of this year, they'll just do it again in 3 years instead of waiting. It won't be that won't be the new 4-year cycle. So I would imagine that real tennis would do the same, and that whoever wins in May, whether that be a new world champion or a defence, I would imagine that basically in a year they'd have to do it again.
No bad thing. You could just do the world doubles as well. Actually,
well, so I mean, not no bad thing at all. But the reason the years are all set up, they're all set up around each other. So the men's singles is in the even years.
Yeah.
The men's doubles is in the odd years, and the ladies' singles and doubles is in the odd years as well, because the ladies' singles and doubles do it as like one standalone event. So
we talked about that last week, didn't we? 159 views.
Exactly. So more than that, actually.
Oh,
so what you can't do, because it's going to be happening in an odd year. I assume the ladies' worlds will happen in the same year, but I think 2021 will just be like a
real tennis festival.
Yeah, just like a one-off like festival, and then the men will just go again in 2022 to get back onto that.
Jeez, I'll be like 26 and 25 in 2021. I can't even add up.
Do you know what, mate? It's absolutely incredible. Like, as a player who's kind of been in and around, or certainly keeping an eye on like World Championship races and stuff for quite a few years, you just kind of go, oh yeah, that's another race gone, that's another race gone. But it's 2 years every time.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Do you know what I mean? So then suddenly you just turn around and like, oh my god, like, how did I get to this age?
Oh, mate, you're still young.
Do you know what I mean?
You're still
ridiculous.
Young. I know, time just passed, but so yeah, it could be good. Obviously, you could just pack the racing, I guess. Just means all the tournaments would count for even more.
Just go big. Just go all in on Bet365.
Oh god, yeah, they'll match you £100 if you stake 100.
Only in credits.
Exactly, yeah, true.
So, what's your initial like thought on on the date being pushed back? Like, good idea, bad idea?
Very good idea, to be honest. I don't think it's obviously World Championships like a global thing. People come from all the corners of the world. You got people like America, Australia, like Cone and Benny. Like you got the regulars, I guess, who always come. And I think it will be annoying, especially with the travel restrictions and maybe having to isolate. I know America and Australia aren't on the list of like free travel places, so obviously they'd have to take off so much time off work and away from their home places as it stands now, and I don't particularly see that changing anytime soon.
Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
I'm exactly with you. I mean, the whole like having to quarantine, like coming into the UK for 2 weeks,
Same
has
with
been
practice
relaxed.
partners, like Nicky. Nicky is Rob's practice partner. If that's still going ahead, he'd be fucked. Like, you just have to be here
Well,
for
it's
ages.
been relaxed if you're coming in from certain countries,
Yeah.
but um, so basically, if you look at it like in like really small, like if you look at it like in a really small section of it and say, right, with those restrictions gone or whatever, Camden can physically get to the UK and he could bring a practice partner to the UK. So
Yeah,
that's
he
like
can cut.
so
He can go.
he's in, which is absolutely fine. But exactly as you said, if you then take a step back and look at the whole thing as a spectacle, um, it's not just. If you wanted to just say, right, can we physically get the World Championship to happen, like to get a name on an honours board? The answer is yes, you could get it to happen. But do you want it to happen under those circumstances? Obviously not. So as you said, like people will travel. Camden's going to bring a bunch of people from America. A load of Aussies will fly over, and without that being possible, or certainly without being able to cram like every person and their dog in at Prested, which I'm sure is the plan.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If you've got like one person every 3 seats or whatever, you just end up with like a non-spectacle, don't you?
Sounds like a Manchester dead on. But no, I'd go from not even just that as the spectacle. I'd go from people haven't been able to train properly. So obviously you can say whatever you want about Rob and Cam. Obviously they'd be able to rock up and play a great match of real tennis, but giving them only August and September to train, whereas normally they'd have 3 months, 4 months to get up to speed. I know Rob definitely would have a plan and stuff like that. I don't think it'd be fair to sort of have that when gyms haven't been open, courts haven't been open. So I think it's
Yeah, I
fair.
mean, people would have been kind of making do, but
Yeah.
like you say, would we see the best possible version of the two of them? The simple answer is we don't know, but without the ability to put in, the potential like training plan that each of them would have had, you would assume not, right?
No, exactly.
I can't imagine, for example, if it was to go ahead and then courts were only able to open in, let's say for argument's sake, like the 1st of August, even though it's
not.
near as makes no difference.
Yeah.
If you had like August and September to train and then World Championship in October, so you had to cram, and they decided to put it on anyway, that would obviously massively favour Camden.
Yeah, for sure.
Just because of like I'm not for 1 second saying that like Rob isn't fit enough at all, but the capacity to be able to put in, the load is obviously going to favour the younger player. So, I think there's two ways to look at it, isn't there? Like from a spectacle, obviously the right thing to do. As an individual player thing, you generally get. In fact, this actually is a bit of an advantage to like Cam as well. The whole thing being pushed back a bit because normally when you come through, as Camden would have done this time, and Rob has only ever had to do once. When you come through that like elimination process, you're basically training from as soon as you want to start. So let's say for example, like Camden would have played first round eliminators, so he would have finished. I don't know if he played the British Open last year. Did he play the British Open last year?
Yeah, he did. No, wait, whoa. Yeah, he did. He did.
Okay, so you play the British Open, and then you get back, and then you're like, right, I need to just crack straight on here because in 6 weeks I've got an eliminator.
Yeah.
And then after that eliminator, you've then got not that long before you have the final eliminator. In fact, so we finished the eliminators in Melbourne. I flew back, and then I think a week No, it wasn't even a week. I was here for less than 48 hours.
Yeah, it was just you went straight to Chicago, didn't you?
Yeah. Did I come back? I came back. Came back. Came back to England for like less than 48 hours. Flew to Chicago, and then while I was in Chicago, Chappers landed in Boston for the final eliminator.
Yeah, it's
So
loose, mate. Real tennis life on tour.
So you've basically got not much time, no break. Basically, you're training for the final eliminator,
Yeah.
and then you finish the final eliminator, and you're like, right, I've got 6 weeks before the main event. So
It's just not enough. That's the fact of the matter. I think.
It's not necessarily not enough. It's just quite tough. So
I don't agree with it.
Rob would have, Rob would have been sat there on the throne. That's not a
On the throne.
That's not a metaphor. He would have been sat there waiting, watching the eliminators, and with all due respect to Nicky and Chappers, he would have been assuming that Camden would have got through that based on form. So he would have been able to effectively start a plan for Cam like there and then.
Yeah.
Whereas, the person challenging kind of like Cam would have obviously backed himself to get through the eliminators. But, he can't start thinking about the Rob match until it's all done and dusted. You don't want to get complacent because, well, that's just, well, A, it's massively disrespectful, and B, you're putting a massive banana skin in front of yourself, aren't you? So with this,
got ages now.
Both players have got an opportunity to, because it's going to be a year. It's going to be like over a year.
Wait, how Rob could well be like one of the oldest players to ever be in a World Championship final. He could be like 52, 51.
Oh, well, I thought he's going to be anyway, isn't he?
Good question. I feel like back in the oh well, yeah. How old was Etchebuster? Do you know what I mean? Like to actually, whether he likes it or not, it's actually going to be. He's probably going to be right up there in terms of age.
But they're both going to have like a good crack at it.
Too right, yeah. No, it would be good.
I think the fact that the fact that courts are obviously allowed to open at the end of the month, which therefore means gyms and stuff will be as well. Wow, they've got almost a year. Where are we? July. They've got 10 months to train for this thing.
You can become like Schwarzenegger.
God, it's unbelievable.
I know.
So they've both obviously hopefully there's going to be tournaments before that and stuff, but they've got 10 months now to come up with a plan and really go at it. And I think that favours Rob.
10 months, that's a long time.
Well, yeah, but you don't want to be training you don't want to be doing an intense, an intense 2 weeks. Your body gets tired, man. You need to rest it. So Rob can basically implement his plan over the next 10 months and ramp it up and take the relevant amount of rest. And people will listen to that and think I'm just saying he's old and whatever. It's no, rest is a massive, massive, massive part of being at the top of your game.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a perfect situation. I think 10 months might be it's quite far in the distance, but anyway, this would surely be the longest period of time that the two players have had to prepare for a challenge.
For a challenge, an individual challenge, yeah, unless you basically believe you're going to get through. But I mean, no, nonetheless, it's true, yeah. It's
So we're assuming still at Preston and everything. That's all documentation still the same. So it also gives them.
Just quietly. I think Prested Hall could be a COVID secure bubble. Get the players staying on site. Get all the officials on site. I mean, there's an argument to say that they could have actually had it a little bit earlier than May.
Well, I think the reason the discussion that they probably would have had is if we're going to disrupt the usual calendar and we're going to push it back to 2021, why not just push it to the same place it normally is in the calendar?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Although, having said that, the real tennis calendar tournament-wise is interestingly, no one would ever really know, but it's one of the most debated topics, between the pros.
Oh, really?
The calendar.
The calendar.
Because exactly this situation here, right? 2021 is a non-World Championship year, traditionally.
It is now.
It is now. So, What tournaments do you have in February, March, April, or May?
US Open, April 0 to 9s. No, I'm joking. No, well, there's a bit of a gap, isn't there, before the Champions Trophy and the Pro Singles in June. So you've
There is
got,
a gap
yeah.
to allow for the elimination process in the World Championship.
And you wouldn't need that gap the next
So in
time.
2021, with this
No.
one, you also don't need the
I know,
elimination
it's a good
process
point.
and stuff like that. So the reason the calendar can look quite kind of crammed between September. Well, I suppose not, now that the Champions Trophy slotted itself into July. You've got like French Open, IRTPA, British, Aussie, US. In fact, think of it this way, right? Out of 12 months of the year, you've got 3 of the 4 Opens all happen within 3 months of each other.
Yeah.
And that is because the World Championship takes up basically a 3-month process. So obviously what you can't have is a tournament calendar that is like, example A for the World Championship years and example B for the non-World Championship years. That's just ridiculous. So what's happened is they've created a template where in a non-World Championship year there's just a big blank.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that the reason it was May was to just kind of put it back on the standard kind of schedule. But like you say, they could have put it earlier in terms of getting in the way of other tournament, getting in the way of the World Championship, but being too close to other events. But I think the reason they would have pushed it back is A, to just follow the norm calendar-wise, and also B, you want to give yourself the most amount of time. The worst thing you can do is say, well, there's nothing going to be happening after the US Open, let's put it in March.
Yeah.
And then this thing drags its heels, some idiot goes and eats like a different type of bat, and they have to push it back again.
Could happen as well, could happen. I hope not, but yeah. Right, so it obviously favours Rob a little bit now with his 10-month preparation process. Obviously, I think that's true as well. I really think that's true.
Well, I mean, I think let's be realistic. Like, Rob would have had a plan for
a while,
but you've now got the luxury of time to be able to really peak at a certain time, and that will mean that at some points, I don't know how much we'll see. I mean, the other tournaments aren't happening, are they? But you could easily see a Rob or a Camden turn up at the British Open, for example, and just be absolutely bollocksed because they're going through like a strength phase of their training. But obviously the priority is not the British Open at that point.
No.
Short-term goal, try and win it, but they're like, no, I this is a strength phase of my training. I have to train through this week. That's just the way it is.
Incredible.
Because on the 2nd of May or whenever it is, I'm going to do some research. I want to make sure I probably publish the right stuff there. But, they want to both be day one of that tournament or the World Championship. Right, I am literally as fit as I could be without being tired. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it's interesting. 4th, 6th, and 8th. I thought it was 2nd.
What? No, 2 4s, 2 4 6. It's close though.
Quite well there.
Right. Well, let's just think about other stuff, other implications. Do you think that? Well, actually, it's obviously Rob. We don't know what Rob's going to do about retiring and stuff, but this is obviously going to prolong his career.
Yes.
That's one thing I just thought about then. I mean, yeah, it's maybe he'll never retire now.
Well, never.
Yeah, just keep going. The World Championship's been postponed again. Oh, fair. Another 2 years on the clock.
I mean, to be fair, this is like worked absolutely wonders for the thinking like 100 years when this is all over, right?
Yeah.
Well, obviously it's all over, but like when Rob Fay's name is literally a name on a board, and he's like the stuff of legends, but no one knows who he is. Do you know what I mean? Because it's 100 years. It's 100 years time.
Yeah, it's mad that.
He has, if he were to bow out after the World Championships in 2021, the honours board will not say World Champion from 2018 to 2020. It will say 2018 to 2021. He's just bought himself a year. Love that.
Great point, Ben. I like that. See, I was thinking, I knew something would tie. Yeah, he's bought himself a year. That's incredible. Wait, hang on. So he first won the World Championship in '94. So
yeah.
Oh shit! So it was 1994 to 2016. So that was what 22 years, and he's just bought himself what 2018 another 3 years. So he's been
Yeah,
world
so it's
champion.
20. So he's now done the quarter of a century.
He's now he's now been world champion for 20 years with what 2 years gap in between.
No, he's done
Oh
16.
shit!
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry, did you say 16? No, 22.
20,
22,
19,
2016 to
99.
1994.
So that's 22. Oh, he's in miles more.
Yeah, so he's done 22, and then 2018 to
25.
2021, so that's another
Mate,
3. So he's
that's
now
as,
hit 25 years.
that's as bad as my geography. That is. Oh my god. Yeah, 25 years. So I tell you what, you should send him a text like when we get off this and tell him that.
I'm sure he knows.
Yeah, probably does actually. In all seriousness, but that's quite good. Well, if you didn't already know that, listening to this podcast, we've just found out that Rob Fay will now be world champion for 25 years, a quarter of a century.
That is longer
That's
than
mega.
most people's careers.
That's longer than my life.
Oh god, when you think of it like that, that is absolutely hilarious.
It is though, isn't it? I'm miles older than
Well, it
me.
is, yeah.
Other stuff. I mean, yeah, we could talk about it forever, but I mean, that's longer than most courts have been alive. Well, not most courts. That's horrendous,
Not
chat.
most. That's a bit harsh.
Yeah, I know. I feel it.
So moving on then, I know that there's going to be some discussions, obviously, about we've spoke about this like on the podcast a bit before.
Yeah.
2022 race then. So you must now be firmly even more. Last time we spoke about it, you were like scratch it and start again.
Yeah.
You must be even more like that now.
Well, yeah. Fuck it. I mean, stop swearing. I need to stop swearing. Been told off for that. Right. So yeah, they should. It's been too long. Wouldn't it be logical just to do that
Well,
world
if you think
championship
about
normal
it,
time?
if you think about it from either side of the coin, right?
Yeah, go on.
Since we spoke about it last time, more time has passed without another tournament, right?
I mean, Ben, would you be asked if it got scrapped now?
Well, that would completely depend on what the alternative suggestion was.
And the alternative suggestion is first tournament is the French Open, 2021.
And then how long's the race? 3 tournaments.
No. Oh yeah. How do we? Oh no. Wait. Well, it depends on when they can get tournaments going again because.
So
Yeah.
here's the 2 things, right? Since we last spoke about it, let's say it was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We are now 3 weeks further into this race and still no tournament, right? So
Still nothing.
Which says, yeah, even more reason to scrap it. However, at the same time, no tournament was due to take place anyway, so we're no worse off. We're no worse off until we get to the dates where we do start losing tournaments. And unfortunately, we have lost the Champions Trophy. That's confirmed. French Open is confirmed to not happen. The IRTPA Championships is confirmed to not happen.
Wow, British Open could be next.
Well, it's the next one on the list. I wonder what will happen. And do you know what? It's quite strange actually, because as somebody who lives in England, Champions Trophy, French Open's a hop across the channel, IRTPA and British, you just kind of think, oh, that's a bit of a shame. I wanted to play in those, and they're all quite local. Now let's say the British goes. Now it starts to become a bit more of a panic because you're like, well, the one after that's Australia. Can I physically fly to Australia?
No,
Melbourne. These kind of factors you don't take into account when the tournament's in your own country.
I think Australia. Well, is that Melbourne's in lockdown again?
Yeah, I mean, really locked down as well.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what their policy is on travel and stuff
That's obviously January.
Open. So that would be January. What do you think about the British Open? Is it going to go ahead?
No, but I think they'll have a tournament, but just not for ranking points. Maybe they'll have some cash. They'll throw it. Just
so
a British close.
3 options, isn't there?
I'd have a British close somewhere. I really would. I'd have just no foreign players. Maybe if Mathieu can get across, and I assume he can. But obviously, if America and Australia have got the quarantine thing, I wouldn't open it up to them, and then just have just a tournament.
Who do you think? So where would the money come for that? Would the TNRA throw in the British Open money? No.
Could they not recoup it? Do you reckon?
Well, I'm not going to go into the politics of it because
I don't really understand.
That wouldn't be fair. But there is a system in place where there was a 4-year deal basically to sponsor the British Open. I believe, and I could be wrong, that this is the last one.
Serious?
Yeah, the last one of the last one of the kind of current agreement.
Oh,
so,
wow.
would the people putting the money in, would they be happy to put that money in and not have the same field? My initial answer is like no.
No.
So then we start to get the negotiation of like
different product, isn't it?
Exactly. Do you want to put in less? You know, and then you've got to try and sell it to. Imagine you're a sponsor, right?
Obviously, it's a reduced fund if it's British closed.
Well, yeah, but let's say you're a sponsor, and if I turn around to you and say, right, you're going to come and sponsor my tournament, right?
Yeah.
And you go, yeah, perfect. We'll have the best players in the world there, or it's open to the best players, right? And then I turn around to you and say, right, COVID's happened. We're not going to be able to have the same openness to the field. We're going to have to restrict it to like British players only. Are you happy to chuck in the same amount of money?
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to say no, right? Or probably.
Yeah.
Or no one could forgive you for saying no. Okay, and then I turn around and go, okay, well, let's obviously we want to kind of have as much in there as possible. Maybe the TNRA don't care, I don't know, I hope they do. But we want to have as much money in as possible. Let's negotiate. And you're going to say to me, okay, what level of importance is this tournament now? Like, because you can't have the top guys there.
Well, obviously, it's not the British Open, is it? It's not the British Open.
I'm going to have to turn around to you and say, there are no ranking points in it for a start. And they're going to say, okay, so it's effectively just a bunch of guys having a bit of tournament practice. There's nothing on the line except for a pat on the back. I don't want to put that much. I don't want to. If I've got this amount of money allocated to do something, what's in it for me at this point? Do you know what I mean? Are you going to advertise it the same as the British Open? Am I going to get the same exposure? Are we going to get the same crowd?
I reckon a lot of people would still watch.
Is it the same product?
No, it's not the same product, but it in terms of lockdown, like, let's say what they're doing with cricket now, with club cricket, there's still massive demand for it, even though it's not the same as it was. Like, people are just happy to be playing, be watching, be around a bar, an outdoor bar. I mean, I think obviously it's not the same product, it won't have the same field, but I still think it could generate significant interest. Like, if there was an American, like, a National League evening tonight, it was streamed, I would watch it. I would be there 10 till 1 watching it PM. Do you know what I mean? It'd be that novelty because you've just not watched anything for ages.
But in terms of the people that are raising the money for those players to play, so this is where I think it's a bit different because you're an amateur and I'm a pro, so I'm not trying to come across as greedy. But if someone says to like a pro,
yeah,
do you want to come and play in this tournament? There's no ranking points. It's not going to do anything for your world ranking or your world race. And you're going to have to take some time off work.
When you put it like that.
Are you interested? That someone's going to go, yeah, of course I'm interested. I want to play a tournament. I want to compete.
Yeah.
But, this is my job. Is there any money in it? No. Some people would genuinely just say, do you know what? I'll just stay at home and do some lessons.
Yeah.
But they would. And that's like... That is absolutely an acceptable answer. Do you know what I mean? I've had people in the past just because I'm obviously fortunate enough to be ranked quite high. There's an expectation for me to play in something, and I'm like, well, no, I'm actually not going to play in that. Or you look at the prize fund and you have to weigh that up and kind of go, right, can I go to my club and ask them for this time off to play in this tournament, which might not be that strong, or it might not be very financially lucrative.
Yeah.
Do I want to take this time off? Do I want to have to tell my assistant, by the way, you're on your own this week? And you do have to weigh that up. And I've not played in tournaments before, a couple of times, and you kind of get this well, you kind of owe it to the game. It's like, what?
You don't.
You pick and choose your tournaments.
You don't owe it to the game at all.
You don't have to play it. You don't have to play in anything. I've had it I'm not going to mention specific scenarios, but yeah, there are certain times when you kind of be like, oh, it'd be great if you could come and play. I'm like, well, I'm not going to come down for £50 appearance money, am I, and lose money?
Especially not with the ACCA on. But yeah,
just stay at home, do
yeah.
70 minutes of coaching and I've made the same money.
That's true when you put it like that. Well, yeah, no, I think there'll be an exhibition event organised or something just to get a bit of like well-being. I mean, obviously Leamington. I mean, should I mention this? Is that bad?
What?
What the club's planning on that first weekend?
No, because they're not.
Oh, is that off?
Yeah.
Okay, well, fine. So I can mention the prospective idea before we move on to Oxford.
Well, it was a brainstorm, yeah.
Yeah, well, obviously, I think this is good. I think we can get this idea out there. But obviously, when you first heard it, the club were planning a tournament on the opening weekend. I think, yeah, great. I mean, like, get people involved. Let's get people in. I mean, obviously, fair if it's not safe or
Well,
whatever.
let's be very clear. They were like,
Looking at the idea.
Could we do some kind of
Yeah,
community-based event?
I think asking the question is completely valid in that situation.
Yeah.
I think that's completely valid and great for having the initiative to think, come on, let's see how far we can go with it. And that sounds really bad, but I'm just lacking a better phrase. But yeah, like, and I think there will be like an exhibition event just to sort of kickstart the season, kickstart people playing. You know what, real tennis is safe. And yeah, I think no matter how much that was supported, it's still real tennis on a stream. It's still real tennis, people playing, people getting competitive, and that's good. That's a bit more normality than it was. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Irrespective of the prize fund, and I'm sure, right, they want to get the best players there, so I'm sure there would be a prize fund. That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, but well, you'd hope so because I remember having a conversation with somebody. Obviously, I'm just going to keep it all like very anonymous, and they were talking to me like I was hosting something, and we were talking about like marking, and I was like, yeah, okay, so for this event, like I'll do it from the net, but for this one it's going to be from the back. And they were like, why? And then we got into this big to and fro, and I was like, look, this is not the major event. This is like a side fun thing to encourage people to play. I'm not going to put my life at risk by standing at the net, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, and the phrase came up, like, for the love of the game.
Doesn't exist.
Like, are you joking? I don't walk into my dentist and be like, can you just give me a freebie today just because you enjoy your job so much?
For the love of the game, for the love of the dentistry. Oh, give us a free cocktail for the love of the game. Oh, perfect. You know what, I will.
You wouldn't walk into any like shop, or you wouldn't buy a house.
True.
Or anything like that, and be like, "Oh, give us a discount."
Knock us 10k off for the love of the property market.
For what reason? Because you love it. It's like, okay, well, is that really a valid reason?
It also only applies if you do love it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, yeah, it was just like, look, guys, come on, this is a job. Yes, like, we love it. But it would be the same thing for this like British Challenge thing or whatever that we're making up with no information.
Yeah.
If somebody kind of came along and said like, look, there's no money in it, but it would be great if Ben and Rob, you're like the top 2 ranked guys based in the UK now. It'd be great if you could play. And then Rob would go, well, I've just started a brand new job at the Oratory, so I probably shouldn't take too much time off if I can help it. Is it worth it? Oh, there's no money in it. You're gonna be like. Yeah. No, I don't mean to be rude, but if you present a list of options in front of somebody, they're going to weigh up the pros and the cons, right? And they're going to make a decision on what to do based on those pros and cons.
Yeah.
So, it'd be the same thing, kind of like here. Like Leamington might, they wouldn't because they're very supportive of my tournaments, but they might turn around and go, look, you've just had 4 months off. We're trying to rebuild the club. We don't want you to go and do that.
Well, we'll see.
I mean, hopefully this is all just silly because the British Open would happen. If it doesn't happen, I personally am a bit more like pessimistic than you. If it doesn't happen, I don't think anything will happen in its place. It'd be great if it did.
Yeah,
it really would be
true.
Great if it did. But I think it would just be canned, and then we'll just have to move on to the next one.
Well, we'll see. Interesting debates again, guys. Let us know what you think. We always get a few texts. We're getting quite a lot of texts, actually. I am, to be fair, after these podcasts. We are changing the game. I feel like this is a great tool to get opinions across, get people talking about the game, interested across the world. And yeah, well, it's all good. Long may it continue. But should we move on to Oxford? That was 39 minutes. That was long, that, bro.
Good.
Indeed. Well, Oxford, the smallest court in the world.
Here's a fun fact for you.
Go on then, hit me.
This could be complete rubbish as well, but I'm pretty sure it's not.
Yeah.
Oxford is the only court in the world that you are not allowed to nominate as a World Championship venue.
Yeah, good stat. Yeah, I've heard that one.
Purely due to the size.
Not even in eliminators, you can't have an eliminator there.
No, because it doesn't conform to like the
Size.
dimensions required.
Great stat. That's a great stat.
There are certain courts like over the years, and like the World Cup in football has like been used to like help certain countries like develop like their infrastructure and stuff like that. That has happened to a certain degree in like real tennis. Like when the World Championships were at Fontainebleau, like Fontainebleau weren't allowed to host it based on the way the court was.
The size.
So Bertrand Fourballier, well, no, she can't do anything about that. Like had to like spend a load of money like redoing a load of the like main wall to make it less bobbly. The targets were all kind of like were all made smaller by some extra brickwork because they were too big and stuff. So that court has now become a much better place to play off the back of hosting a World Championship because they had to do some stuff.
That's sick.
Which is great. So yeah, Oxford. Obviously, there's nothing you can do about it.
No, at least the timbra's good.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's hard. It's not. I don't think it is that hard. I think it's pretty simple. Once you get down the service end, you don't have a lot to worry about.
Yeah, well, exactly. I think the reason it's tough is because the angle is obviously just much more different than other courts. So if you can just get your head tuned into it pretty quick, then it's not any more difficult than any other timbre. It's just because the angle is so different to other places, except for like Tuxedo and Hobart, they're the same.
As well, the skill is basically just to probably give your opponent no chances to hit the timbre.
Well, that's always the target, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean it's a bad shot on some courts, obviously, but like straight timbre Oxford will sort you out in many cases.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, that's literally gone flush to the back wall.
Oxford is like what I always think of Oxford as like this like sleeping giant because it never really does anything like top tennis. You know what I mean?
Nah, it's there. It's in the conversation. People know.
They have the 0 to 9s every year. They have they have the varsity. The club is like I don't know what the utilisation level is, but it's got to be over 90%.
It's busy, busy.
Exactly. Like it ticks all the boxes. But it kind of it's definitely like it's playing to that certain crowd, isn't it? It's obviously a university court, so it's got that kind of like I don't know how friendly or unfriendly the rivalry is, but like the whole Cambridge like varsity thing, I imagine that's fairly good natured but very competitive.
I know. It's good though.
They've had some absolute ballers playing at that place.
Oxford, right, come on, I propose a game of ballers you play for Oxford. Spike Wilcox,
Roman Krasnaric.
Victoire.
Oh shit. Yes. I can't think of his name. They've had a hell of a lot of single figure players play there.
Yeah, like
Will
got
Fortune.
People who got
figures playing there.
Rob Walker with single figures as well.
Rob Walker. They've had a few. Who was the American guy who?
Homwrecker?
No, there was an American guy who was at university there.
Yeah,
his dad.
Will Broadbent, that's his name.
Actually, there you go. His dad actually invested a lot of money into the club rooms and stuff.
Did the upstairs? Yeah, that's sick. That's, to be fair, that's unreal, isn't it? His daughter as well played there.
Okay.
As a picture.
So Will Broadbent, he was like really tall guy, right?
But I've never met him, but yeah, apparently so.
Yeah, he got to single figures, I think, just about. So like they've got a very
good track record.
Yeah, they've got a very good track record. And do you know what? It's just suddenly occurred to me. Oxford is probably the one court that both of us have won a tournament on.
Yeah, we've both won the 0 to 9s.
Both won the 0 to 9s. 10 years, literally 10 years apart.
Wait, did you win it in 09?
Yeah.
That is so mad, mate. That's so mad. I'm still the holder. I've got another. I've held it for 2 years now.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Mate, your legacy. Beautiful.
That court's not safe though because it's so small. Like you just at risk of touching the other person.
I wonder if like real tennis announcement have been like all real tennis clubs are allowed to open except for Oxford.
Yeah. Fuck me.
Like Fontainebleau was able to never had to close.
Yeah, it's just so big. Right, so let's talk for the listeners. Let's talk about the sort of playing style of the
Yeah,
court.
the
So obviously,
characteristics.
it's
Obviously,
small.
it's small. The penthouse is very narrow. It's the one court in the
Yeah.
world where, like, if I serve a fault, I mean, I've not played. This is like, I'm not joking here. I've probably not played a competitive match there since 2009.
Probably
That's
accurate.
like the one. Once you're through, if you like, the 0 to 9s, you never play there because they don't. They've had national league teams of the past and stuff that were like prem, but they haven't got that anymore.
I think.
So if you are a single figure player, you'll play there every year. It'll be a major court in your calendar.
Yeah,
as soon
it's
as you get to
big.
+1, you never play there. It's a really weird.
Yeah, it's a weird dynamic.
It's a really weird thing. But I remember being stood there, and it's the one court in the world where you'd stand. 2 courts in the world for me where you stand there, about to serve a second serve. You're going to serve something like a bobble, and you think there's a genuine chance I might cut this up.
Yeah, 100%. The penthouse is so small.
The
You might hit.
penthouse is so narrow.
If you hit that sidewall first, you're in big trouble.
Yeah. So your weight has got to be absolutely perfect. The other one, by the way, is Paris.
Oh right, I remember I hit.
Just because it's so steep.
I think Oxford, right, and I'm a terrible server. I serve better at Oxford than anywhere else because it just suits a sidewall and like a demi PK, and you can actually just do it.
I remember like it being really really fun to serve on because obviously the penthouse is small, but it's also very low. So as a person returning serve, like you're trying to hit cut volleys and stuff.
Yeah.
Much lower down, so you're not having to. So for me, obviously, someone who's quite short, if you're playing on like a bouncy penthouse, which is quite a tall court,
yeah,
you've really got to like either wait for that ball to get down to you or try and reach up above your head, which is basically someone just dangling a big carrot in front of you and you taking a big chop. So at Oxford, you can properly, if you're in the like, if you're in a good place and you read it well, you can properly go after your return to serve there.
Yeah, you can.
Then again, though, someone like I think Darren's done very well in the 0 to 9s over the years.
He just hits the dead on so well there.
Yeah, he really has a go at his return serve.
But it's weird because when you're forcing, obviously, because it is so small, you hit a lot more on the roof than you would normally because like you don't want to hit it like 100% because the angle, the trajectory will just send it up.
Yeah.
I think you've got to sort of slide them in like 60% ish pace, 70%. Main wall and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I remember having great fun serving there because you can serve a demi PK with loads of cut.
It cuts down, yeah. Cuts down.
Railroads are obviously good fun. I remember getting absolutely pumped by Mark Senior in the semi-final. I only played in the 0 to 9s twice.
All right.
And I remember getting absolutely pumped in the semis by Mark the first year I played it. Mark Senior, who was just whipping this railroad in, sticking to the sidewall every time. I'm literally smashing frames, trying to chunk it back off the wall, and then he was just windmilling his forehand into that massive grill, and I was just like, I literally don't know how to beat it.
It suits
what else to do.
It suits a lefty that court, I must admit. Windmilling
that was quite an interesting season actually, because that was the season I moved up to Hampton Court, or the season after, and I won the 10 to 14s at the beginning of the season, and then lost in the semis of the 0 to 9s in the same season.
Yeah.
Good year there.
There we go. But yeah, Oxford,
Maybe I peaked in 2009. Shit.
I don't think you did. Well, Villa were good then as well.
Yeah, true. But yeah, like Railroad, very, very good there. And like you say, because everything's so low, the net is obviously still the same height. So if you get your Railroad in tight there,
a lot goes in the net,
and people want to like have a spank at it. You know, that net or that penthouse is a massive, massive. Like, there's a massive chance you're gonna do one of those two things.
Yeah, you just got to get galleries. I find you just got to get that service end. It's so easy because you're never really gonna.
Have you ever served high serves at Oxford?
Oh, I've definitely tried. Yeah.
Oh mate, right. I'll go down there. We'll go down there on our tour of the courts, and we'll just do 20 minutes of high serves down there. There's a dead 1 square yard area of the penthouse.
Yeah, so my high serve doesn't go that high.
If you serve a high serve, it will hit that and then just dollop off the penthouse up against the back wall.
Yeah,
the amount of aces I served with that thing, and I am not known for my serving prowess.
Yeah.
But yeah, hell of a good fun to serve on. Do you know what? In terms of like characteristics, and I personally, and this isn't a criticism, I never really knew whether it was a court that cut or a court that bounced. It felt so inconsistent to me. I just never really knew like what to expect from the ball in the corners, and that's not criticism of the call, the balls or anything. I just never really figured it out.
Yeah.
It's just when I played the 0 to 9s that year, like in those 2 years. First year I was just like improving. The second year I just was better.
Yeah.
Than the other guys, but yeah, I've never really figured because it will cut down, but it will bounce. And I remember always kind of thinking that the ones that are going to do one thing kind of did the other, and that's probably just me being a mug. But
I think some balls rip, but some don't. I think you can get a lot back. Fact. I think if you hit like a short
you can
ball,
definitely charge around and get a hell of a lot of balls back. I think it's one of those courts which, because of the timbre, you know, in this day and age, like there's so many tactical things that you can try and like implement from court to court and from match to match.
Yeah.
Oxford for me is one of those courts where you really can have a very, very simple game plan and just go, right, I'm going to get to the service end and I'm just going to just attack that grill corner, and I'm not worried about my length or my line necessarily.
Just hit timbers,
yeah, I can just pump that corner.
Massive nick.
Because exactly, the nick's big, the timbre gives it an angle that, whilst people should adapt to it, their natural instinct is to expect something a lot squarer.
As well, if it's main wall timbre, you are in such big trouble.
You're in so much trouble.
Because it's basically gone behind you and hitting the back wall, and then that's it.
Exactly. So on some courts, you know, like Leamington, for example, because it's bouncy, you can't just hammer that corner because the ball will just pop up off the back wall the whole time. Whereas I think Oxford, because of the difference in angles, you really can just kind of say, right, I'm just going to be positive under that grill or into that corner and almost be a bit more vague. I know that sounds like a really, really poor coaching point to offer.
Yeah.
But I think you can get away with being far less specific in that corner.
I agree.
Which is a great, you know, you can just basically get in there and go, right, get the service end, hammer away, and just do all your winning from down there.
Mate, Craig reads that court better than anyone I've seen. He's unreal there.
Really, really, really. Obviously, he's like one of my best mates. I would love that guy, present company excluded, to win the 0 to 9s at some point.
If I'm playing the 0 to 9s, he won't win it.
That's why I said present company excluded.
Exactly, yeah. Could still happen, though, to be honest. It could still happen.
Well, come on, mate. Like, in this tour of the course, you've always been like, oh, I've not played there, or I've only played there once, I can't remember. And I've had to talk about it a lot.
Well, that's happened twice, by the way.
You won the 0 to 9s there. What we've given you here is a platform to celebrate that victory.
Oh, I couldn't care less. It was a year ago, mate. So much has happened since then. I don't care.
Always looking forwards.
Yeah, I don't care. It's done. But I would put Oxford in my top 5 courts if I had to play there.
Do you, just out of interest, when you play in the 0 to 9s, do you have to play, because the 0 to 9s there's quite a lot of amateurs in that now, right?
There's a lot, yeah.
So when you play in the 0 to 9s, do you have to play in the Pro-Am?
I would have to, yeah. But I've never, touch wood, I've never been in that situation. Because I always win my first round.
It's a bit of a tough one, isn't it? It's
that's me touching wood.
It's a tough one to, like...
I'd play, I don't care, I just like the game.
I know you don't, but it's a bit of a tough one to, like, charge an amateur an entry fee for a tournament, and then, like, if they lose first round, tell them that they've got to, like, do something.
I think there's a prize at stake if you do win the Pro-Am.
Oh, that's good.
Something like that. I mean, I got a racket last year, but yeah, which I've still got. But
I remember doing some serious marking of the Pro-Am. I mean, like, because I can't remember where I was coming from, but I used to stay for, well, actually, used to.
You've been there twice.
Yeah, I stayed for the weekend rather than, like, bouncing back and forth. I think I remember just going in on the Saturday, like, playing. I think I had to play, like, this is how long ago. I think I played Alan Oliver at 9 a.m. on the Saturday morning.
Was he, like, swimming on the court?
He was all over the show, yeah.
Diving.
Grazes all over the place. And then I think I just sat down and marked, like, a bit of a Pro-Am afterwards.
Easy.
Hell of a good event, that little Pro-Am. That's
Easy
great.
time.
In terms of the club, then, because obviously it's very, very, it is small and compact. But again, if you've got like that kind of Pro-Am atmosphere, which is how I would know it, I've never been to a club event there. Obviously, the dining room's upstairs, which is nice. Not necessarily like a bit of a shame, but like that little club room. If you've got people in and out of matches and just popping in and out of the den, I reckon it's brilliant. I reckon it's a great little place to.
It's good vibe, mate. All the sofas. Yeah. Bear in mind, there's a TV as well where you can watch a stream of the tennis. So you don't actually have to watch from the dead on.
But that's what I think is good about like clubs that have small like surface area of club rooms and stuff like that. The same thing we were kind of saying about Hardwick. Like, if you're there, you're literally there for the tennis.
Yeah.
Because you're in the middle of nowhere. So
Exactly.
you're gonna it's gonna be a great atmosphere there. So, and yeah, Oxford, you're in the middle of the city, obviously, but it's not like if you go to like a Queens where the facilities are so big.
Yeah.
That you kind of you could have 50 people there to get involved in a pro-am and watch and stuff like that, but half of them could be having lunch, which is miles away from the court. That's
Exactly.
because Queens has got such good facilities. But you go to these like kind of real tennis clubs, if you like, and Oxford is absolutely one of those. If you get a good group of people in there for that pro-am and stuff, in that small club room, and it's all right next to the court, so great place.
Benno, where are you putting it in your list of courts? Which third?
Blimey. Well, I mean, I've not played there for an absolute eternity.
Go on.
But I'm going to have to put it top third because I don't think you can ever knock a tournament. I've got fond memories because I won a tournament there, so it's got to be top third.
Can't take for granted. Well, me as well, for sure. I play quite well there, especially if you're at the service end. But that's good. That's Oxford done. Where are we going next? We'll just work it out, won't we?
We're gonna at some point we're gonna have to nip out to the west and tick Bristol off. So let's just do that next.
All right, we'll do Bristol next.
We'll do Bristol next.
Perfect, mate. Right, well, there we go. What are you on for the rest of today?
I'm about to go and do a workout, and then I'm actually I need to do a little bit of work for the tennis committee. Nothing too major, but just get a few like stats, send a couple of emails.
I might do a workout. I might do a workout as well now.
And then pretty relaxed, to be honest. I was away down in the New Forest all weekend, so just
that's decent.
Catch up and have a bit of a chill out. I think not much. How about you?
I think I might. Yeah, I'm do a workout if the weather holds off. I don't think I can't be asked having a cricket now. I'm gonna do that tomorrow. But yeah, plenty of cricket this week. I think plenty of training. Make sure exactly. But I don't know. Hopefully the weather stays okay. But nonetheless,
presumably you're gonna have to go and spend quite a bit of time in the nets, aren't you, to improve on your Saturday performance?
Mate, you'd be surprised. Yeah, obviously first game of the season, getting out first ball's not great, but I mean, I'm seeing it like an absolute football. I just need to like get through that first ball.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you saw it like an absolute football, wrap you in the pads.
Yeah, and I was like, oh no, not good. But yeah, it could be some time in the nets, but nonetheless, hopefully this one gets another 150 views until next time.